button again. There it goes. All right, traders, welcome to the official AMA for the Springboard Algo. And welcome to everybody who just purchased the algo, and welcome back to the traders who already own the algo. We're going to dive in and go over some good stuff, how to use the algo, all that good stuff. So incoming, here we go. All right. As you know, can't guarantee results. Okay, products and services are for educational purposes. And we can't tell you what to trade, where to trade, how much to trade, when to trade. That is up to you, but we can give you education and we can provide some service as far as that goes. Okay. So just a brief recap on the signals. How does it work? And let's go into it here. So the way that this tool works is we've got a series of lower highs. There's our pivot, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, break. As soon as we get the break, that's the entry. It's that simple. Price action. Okay, so price action, it works. All right. Short, how does that work? Higher lows. There's a pivot here. Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, break. Off we go. Why does it work? If you think about it from a fractal analysis, fractal meaning multiple time frames, right? So let's say, this is a 1 minute chart, right? 1 minute chart. Let's assume for a second this was a 30-minute chart. Okay. So if on the 30-minute chart you're going higher and higher, what's really happening is you may have a down, up, down, up, down, up, and then a little bit higher up, and then breaking down. So this on a shorter time frame would be a break of structure, signaling a new direction opportunity. Now, there's a couple ways that you can look to trade that. You can trade it just the way that it's set up, which is once you break and you break through the buffer as well, and the buffer meaning that you're not going to just trade as soon as you're breaking the wick. You're going to trade with a little bit of extra size beyond that to confirm that we are actually breaking out, right? Very important. So once you've cleared that buffer, you can trade right away. Or you can also set a limit order to enter up here, meaning that as soon as you break, you go through, it's going to come back and trigger the entry. Now, why on earth would you want to do that? Well, as I mentioned, if we think about multi-time frame fractal analysis, what we've really got is we've got a break of structure pulling back to the liquidity that led to the break of structure. So from a trading standpoint, then we could do that. I wish I could indicate for size for short or long. I see the red bar in the chart. Yeah, it does. It does indicate shorts and longs. Certainly, you can have it just indicate where to trade, or you can have it actually enter the trade. You've got a red, sort of back painting that you have as a possibility as well. That'll tell you confirmed that there's a short entry opportunity. Okay, so yeah, that is most definitely an option. So that's a couple different ways. So again, when you look at markets and you've got a break of structure here, let's say, and you're coming back to the highs that led to that break of structure, that's a way that you can even potentially improve and enhance what this algo is doing. And now you ask, well, can you do that with the algo? Yes, you can 100% automate that. You don't have to do it manually. The system can do that for you. So just giving you additional ideas on different ways that you can look at it should you decide to try different things, right? So that's the signals. That's how that works. Really, there's not much else that we need to cover there. Let me rerun this. I don't know what was going on there. But let's go into, let's look at R2I. Okay, so we have the settings are ready to go. 2-point profit factor, you've got winning trades. Let's go to the charts. Really, what I want to do in these events is we go through getting to understand how the system works, why the system works, why would we code such an algo? Like, what's the point, right? Why would we look to spend our time coding something unless we knew that there was an edge there? Of course. So we'll go over that. And then I like to go over how to optimize the system. That way, moving forward exactly how to optimize, and there's no guesswork. when to optimize, all of that. We're going to dive into that. It's a bit subjective, obviously. And so yeah, so we'll take a look. And we're not going to go through all the settings on everything. We're just going to go through one of them, and that'll give us enough to know what's happening with it. All right, what am I doing? First, I want to go in and get rid of the grid lines because I don't like seeing them. We're going to change how this looks a little bit so we can do what we need to do here. Not visible, not visible. And let's change the background. That's a little bit easier to see for me anyway. Let me know if you can't see it. I can try to change it. All right. So we've got our chart, RTY springboard. Let's go find trades and take a look at what happened on these trades. All right. So here we are. We're coming down into market is coming down. So we have our first pivot here, comes up, comes down, breaking. There's our higher high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Break. Now this one didn't trigger a trade. Why, you might ask? Well, it has to do with a number of factors. There's different things that could be at play here, such as momentum, and it could be based on moving averages, and it could be based on structure, and we're going to go through those things together. But what I do want to look at right now is this trade. So here's our pivot, lower high, lower high, lower high, break. And there's our break. Now, as to when that broke, I don't know if it happened here and then went down or went down and then went up. I have no idea. But we can assume based on the open of this that it triggered here, came all the way back down here. So there again, that could be an opportunity. Now, it's up to you what you want to do. You can run with these settings. Obviously, at some point, settings are going to need to be optimized. As to when that is, I have no idea. But they will need to be optimized at some point. So that's why we're going to train you on how to do that. So we've got another one, you can see coming down, coming down, coming down, break, right? So pretty good opportunities here. So the question, becomes where do you want to trade it? How do you want to trade it? There's a number of different approaches. Obviously, most of the traders are looking to eliminate themselves from the equation as much as possible, right? Obviously, that's a factor. The good thing is, in this case with Springboard, you don't really risk trading into resistance or trading into support. And it's because the system is designed to be a reversal system. So being that it's a reversal system, my suggestion, again, take it or leave it, is the number of bars required, you want them to be higher in number than smaller. An example is you don't want it to just be pivot one break. That's not enough candles. You want it to be pivot 1, 2, 3 break. That might be better, right? So 3+ is my point of view on this. Now, you can do what you want with that, but the reason that you would do that is if you have a trending market, let's say, market's trending up and trending up and trending up, and you get a 2-bar pullback and then a break, well, you might be trading into resistance. And that's something that the algo is not going to know. How would it know that you're trading into resistance? And frankly, every trader's, interpretation of what support and resistance is different anyway. So it's somewhat subjective anyway. But that's just an example of the larger number of bars, the deeper the pullbacks, right? You're going to be trading deep pullbacks, and you're also going to be trading reversals. Okay, so that's the way. Pick one or the other, but I would suggest higher number of bars. That's my take on it. Okay, so if you're optimizing, just trying to give you ideas on what to look for. But nice clean trade. Let's go find another one. We'll look at a few of them. If my voice starts to sound scratchy, I apologize. I've been literally talking all day. So. Ran a trade room this morning for 2.5 hours and ran a 90-minute training session. And now I'm here going for round 3. So bear with me. But I've got my water, so I should be good. Yeah. So here's the pivot, 1, 2, 3, break. So this is obviously, this is a pullback into a break. And if you're trading that way, then you want to have tighter targets with lower number of bars. Okay. If you're using higher number of bars, you can get a little bit looser with your stops and your targets. Okay. Can be a little bit looser with those. Also NQ. NQ might give you opportunities for larger profits than some of the others. So just different things to keep in mind and factor into your decision making with the tool. Now remember, the tool is designed to help you trade. The tool is not the trader. You are still responsible for money management. There are tools built into the algo which you can use for money management, so that's great. But this is still your responsibility. You can't have the algo tell you how much to trade, right? Seems fair. Yeah, and it's your responsibility to turn it on and off. When do you want it to trade? When do you not want it to trade? Now, again, there are time breaks in there that you can set. When it turns on, when it turns off, but it's your job to monitor the system. Make sure it's doing what you want it to do. Don't let it blow out your account for no reason. If it's going rogue, then turn it off. Wait for another day. Oh, and another suggestion, please take us up on this. Trade it in sim first. If you put it right on your charts and start trading with it and you blow out an account, that's on you. Okay, I'm just shoot straight, right? We're all grown-ups here. We're all traders. We're all here to make money. Trade it in sim first. Make sure it's doing what you want it to do before you just go throw money at it. Okay. We can't guarantee results. Can't guarantee that these settings are going to be the winner, make you millions of dollars. So please trade it in sim first. Another suggestion that is more of a requirement than a suggestion is read the manual. Don't read it cover to cover, but at least, take a look at it and make sure you understand what the algo does. It's a tool that you're using to trade with, right? Pivot, 1, 2, 3, break. There we go. Minimum is actually 1 bar is what you can set it to. Again, my suggestion is to do more than that. Yeah, here's the stop out, right? We get stops too. This one tried to get short. Okay, so there's pivot right here. 1, 2, 3, break. Didn't quite make it to target and then got stopped out. So there's got to see it from both ways, right? Here's an example of where you are trading back up into the highs and your target's above where the highs are. You got pivot, 1, 2, 3, break, stopped you right out. Couldn't break the highs, right? So that's why I say with shallow numbers, you might want to use small targets, okay? Here's pivot, 1, 2, 3, break. Very similar look to this one. This one worked. This one did not. Why? Because, well, this is expensive. Supply and demand. The higher you get up, less likely you are to continue to be able to scratch. I mean, look at the size of this trend, right? The trend's been going for a while on a 1-minute chart. So at some point, you're going to expect that you're going to start to see some movement the other way. Okay. But these are great settings, great place to start with. So let's go through the settings. What do they do? How do they work? Okay. We're going to go back to one of the trades so we can use it as an example. There we go. All right. We can get this out of our way. We don't need it. So let's go back up all the way to the top. We're going to go through the settings together. What do they do? How do they work? So there are 3 settings for this algo as far as algo parameters for entry. Okay, so entry parameters, there's only 3. 3 parameters. That's it. Pretty simple. So you need to know minimum consecutive bars, entry offset, and are you allowing equal highs or lows? You don't have to. Personally, I like to allow equal highs and lows, but it's up to you, whatever you want to decide. And you can optimize for all of those. Obviously, you're going to want to optimize for minimum consecutive bars. It's a pretty important factor. So what does that mean? That means how many bars need to make a lower high? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then break. Okay, so this would be a 4 into a break. Now, odds are there's some kind of moving average filter on this, which is not allowing the trade, which is why it didn't take the trade, because this is set to 3. Okay. So how many lower highs do you need to take before you will allow the break? And that rhymes, and you're welcome. Free rhyming. Okay. Entry offset, how many ticks? How many ticks as an offset? Can you do percentage? No, you can do ticks. Entry offset in ticks. So with RTY, you might have, this one set to 1, which is very fast. You might set it to 4, somewhere 1 to 4. You might set it as, really, really loose is going to be like 8. That would be really loose. ES or MES for that matter, let's say. It would be anywhere from, again, 1 to maybe 3. I'm just giving you ideas. Versus NQ, if you set NQ to a 1 tick offset, that's extremely fast, right? So it's up to you what you want to do there, but that's what that means. So how many bars need to make lower highs before the break? Entry offset. How many ticks does it need to go past the wick in order to give us a signal? Now, here's another fun fact. Let me go into here. Let's go into this one. Let's say our entry offset it's not 1 tick. Let's say it's, how many ticks was this as an example? Whoops. Oh, that worked. This one is like 1 tick. So let's say it's set to 4 ticks as a break. Then that means this system would need to get to here on the breaking candle before it took the trade. But this candle didn't make a lower high. So now it didn't meet the requirements because it didn't pass through to break. So if your entry, then that would not enter. And this made a new high, so therefore it's no longer valid. Okay, so just so you know what's going on there. Okay. If you don't have some of the sections, what you want to check is make sure these are not closed up. If they are, just hit the little arrow thing and it'll pop up. And then general, same thing there, right? Although sometimes it can get lost and it doesn't look like it's there. So check it out and see if that works for you. So that's it for those settings. Entries, long and short, obviously is an option. Now, this is important, especially for prop traders. We got any prop traders here? You have several different options on how to manage risk. Most prop traders are going to set it to fixed cost. What that means is you can set it to be $100 per trade, $500 per trade, whatever you want it to be. So what the system is going to do is it's going to calculate where the stop needs to go. And let's say if this is 20 ticks, okay, and it's $5 a tick, then that would be $100 risk per contract. If you're setting it to $500 risk per trade, it is going to enter 5 contracts. It's going to do all of that for you automatically. There's no figuring out ticks and how many contracts you need to trade. The system does all of that. So it's really slick in that way. And I'm really glad that we have that on these algos. Makes it a lot easier to manage your risk on prop trading. Okay. So that's great. You can have multiple quantities of entries. So if you want to have, different targets or you want to trail a target, that sort of thing, you'd use multiples. If you want to do percent of balance, let's say you're not trading let's say you're not trading prop, you're trading your own money, and you say, I just want to risk 1% per trade. Great, you can do that too. And just put it in as percent. But we're going to keep it set to fixed cost. Okay. Set per run the risk adding too many contracts. Yeah. So what you do. So Ben has a great question. So I'm gonna read this out. So if you set a particular risk value, you run the risk of trading too many contracts. Like if you're trading on a prop firm, let's say, right? Is there a way to limit risk and limit contracts? Yes, there is. What you want to do in this case is you want to set a minimum number of ticks for the stop. And this is built into the algo. Minimum number of ticks. What that's going to do is if your risk is, let's say you're a baller, you're trading 500 per trade. I don't know, you're not a baller, you're just trading 500 per trade, okay? Then what you can do is figure out, okay, what is the minimum contracts, or I mean the max contracts for your prop firm? So what is, give me an example. What's the max number of contracts you can trade? 10. Okay. So if the max risk, max contracts is 10, and our risk per trade is, let's say 500. Hell, let's say it's 1,000 risk per trade, but our max contracts is 10. Now, what we need to do is, and you'd only have to do this once, and then you're good, right? So if we take 1,000, and we divide that by $5 per tick, okay? So that's going to get us to, that'd be 200. It's going to get us to 200. So the minimum number of ticks that we can trade, I'm trying to get to this here, bear with me. Here, let's do it this way. Again, long day. So if we have 10 contracts on, let's say RTY, 10 contracts equals $50 per tick. Okay. And if we want to get to $1,000,
You know how I like to do it?
Yeah, please chime in because I'm confusing myself.
You've had a long day.
I'm just spent.
So you're risking $1,000 per trade, and your max number of contracts that you're allowed to trade is 10. So that means it's $100 of risk per contract.
Yes.
Well, how many ticks is what's the dollar value of one tick? If it's $5, then 100 divided by 5 is 20. So your minimum size is 20.
Yeah, and I'm obviously
using,
yeah, thank you. And I'm obviously using an extreme example here. Thank you for that, because I was like, I know what I want to do. I just can't figure out how to do it. Jeff's the smart one around here, in case you guys are wondering. This guy's really smart. So 20 ticks would be the minimum. Obviously, if you're trading with 10 contracts, you're probably not trading at $1,000 per trade. I'm using this as an extreme example. So if you're doing half of that, and your max contracts was 10, well, then now your minimum size would be 10 ticks. Okay. So that's an example of how to go about. That's the complicated drawn out version. So what you would do in here then is you'd go to your stops and you'd say your minimum allowable stop now is 10 ticks. And that'll ensure that you never go above. And just for safety's sake, add a couple more, right? So that way you never breach that contract limit. So yeah, that's certainly an option. Okay, back to where we were. So you have order types, market and limit. Market is self-explanatory. It's getting in the market at the best possible price. Yeah, no worries. Limit means it's going to set a limit order. So let's say your entry was here. Now, most traders using this, you're not going to use a limit order because you're trading a break. But if you wanted to say get in down here, then you can use a limit with a offset. So let's say, we figure, well, we want to give ourselves, 10 ticks of a better entry. Okay. So let's do that. And you'd want to have your minimum allowable stop, reasonably in there too. You don't want to be trading tiny trades and then anyway, so this entry offset is saying that once you get the trigger here, market goes through that, the entry limit is going to be down here, let's say, 10 ticks lower to be able to get in. If you ask me, I think it's a great thing. I think it's great for this, depending on where you're trading and how you want to do it. But I think that's a great option to give yourself a little bit of breathing room, because you can see even in this case, we went from here, we went all the way down. even almost went to stop before going to target, and that'll help you get better entries. So something to back test and optimize. It's not something you just want to make an assumption and go, oh, I'm going to go with this, but optimize it and figure out. You can set a range of entry offset from 1 to probably 5 to 10 or whatever you want to do, but you can optimize that. So that's what that does. I do want to cover one other thing here. Max pending order distance. What that means is how many ticks does it go in your favor before you say, I don't want to get in way down here anymore. Right. So this is saying if it goes 10 ticks to the upside before coming back to get you, it's going to cancel the trade. It's pretty slick. Like, this is pretty high end stuff. So pretty cool. So a lot of different options of what you can do. I'm going to set this back to market. Action on opposing signal. Let's say you get a signal going the other way. Do you get out of the trade? Do you exit? Do you reverse? This is going to be more applicable for like swing traders that maybe want to trade swing on Forex or stocks or whatever. You can set that so that it will exit if you get a signal going the other way or so on. Another interesting thing that you could do, again, this is more advanced, but let's say you like to leave runners. Okay, you leave runners on and you just want to know when to get out. Well, you can set the algo as your exit. And what'll happen is, let's say you're going long, and you get this break right here, and you say, I want to be out. I want to get out of my position. Now, you can set the algo as just the exit. You would just have no target and no stop because it would just be an exit. Again, this is very advanced, and I realize most of you probably don't do that, but some of you might. So I'm just giving you ideas. What this would do then is, if you're in a trade, it's going to quote unquote put on a short, but that's just going to exit and cover your position. So you can do that too, which is a great way to get out of trades. If you're trending, okay, we had a breach right here. I want to be out of that trade. So you can certainly do that too. But yeah, so these can exit on opposite signal, or it can even reverse. So if you just want to let it run and just go back and forth, you can do that too. Test it, see what works.
I think the one thing that needs to be mentioned there is that the reason that makes a difference is that the way the algo normally works is that if, say, you're in a long position that the algo generated and along comes another signal, well, the way it works is that if you're already in a position, it'll ignore signals normally. That's when you say none, when you pick the none as the option there. Okay. But instead of doing that, which is like the default, you can let the new signal tell the algo to do something like either exit or reverse. So that I think the reason that, I mean, that just to make it clearer, the reason that those are different is that normally when you say none, then any signal that occurs while you're in a position is just completely ignored. So just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting. Cool. So no starting balance on indicator on strategy parameters. I'm not sure what you mean on that one. Sorry. All right. So here's an example too. Let's find a really trendy market environment, right? So which way is the market going here? Clearly it's going up. Well, let's say you set the algo to go long only because you want to trade the trend because the trend is your friend. And oh my gosh, I'm a great trader. I'm going to do that, right? But you want to leave a runner to engage in as much of that trend as possible. And you set the algo to exit on a opposing signal. And now you're using that to exit your runners. Pretty cool, huh? It's another way to do it where you don't have to just be based on ticks. You can have it based on this signal, which is pretty cool. Great for probably not 1 minute charts because they're pretty choppy. but could be great on a 5 minute, 30 minute, if you're trading some of the higher time frame stuff, could be great for that too. Good deal. Enable algo stop loss. Let's go back to our trade. So algo stop loss means you're letting the algo determine where the stop is going based on price act, not based on number of ticks, right? Number of ticks, no. Price action, yes. Cool. So if you are using that, what this is doing is it's going to give you a minimum allowable, which we already looked at. It's also going to give you a max allowable, which is important. And then what the stop loss offset type is going to be, let me go in here for a second. And then what the, bring back up, there we go. Yeah, so minimum, maximum, and then you have the loss type. So let's go through the options here. We have percent of look back and we have ticks. Obviously, ticks is just a static stop. Stop loss offset is going to be 30 ticks. What that means is you're going to take the low of the candle that broke and you're going to add 30 ticks if that was the case, right? That would be 30 ticks lower. If you're using the algo for the stop loss, it's going to be percent of look back range. What that means is it's going to take the range from here to the low. It's going to take that whole range there. And then it's going to ask you what percentage do you want to be below the low. If you use 100%, that's your size. That's where your tick goes or your stop goes. Okay. So that's what that does. If it was 50%, then it's going to be right here. So it's really a great option. I like to optimize for that, particularly with this one. I think that's a great way to do it. So in this case, they're doing 30%. And then bars back for stop loss means how far back is it going into the range at a maximum to calculate that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but that's the way I understand it.
Sorry, say that again. I was typing an answer. Say it again.
That's okay. So with this bars back, does that mean like the max number? So right here we have, 1, 2, 3, and then our 4 bars, the break.
Yeah, I mean it's going to look at the from the signal bar going backwards. It's going to count the number of bars back to get a range of the whole pattern.
Right.
So you can, it won't go past what the number is at the top of the settings, the signal settings.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to consider it more of a tight range for the stop, then just use a small number for that.
Yeah.
So I mean that's probably the best way to think about it.
Cool. Sounds good. Good. Ben asked a great question. I'm going to bring this up to everybody too. He says, if you're trading 3 contracts, can you use stop and target on the 2 contracts, let the 3rd contract run with a trail stop using the algo as the exit on the 3rd contract? And the answer is 100% yes. That's exactly what I was getting at with using the algo as what you would do then is you would set it to the problem is though, is it's going to exit if you're in the first 2 contracts still, it will exit all positions if it gets an opposing signal. So there's not a way to set it to like only do that on the 3rd contract, but could be good just the same to exit all of them. Otherwise, if the first 2, let's say you take out target here and here, and you want to let this thing go, then what it's going to do is on that 3rd contract, it would exit here on that break. As if you're leaving a runner. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think it is okay. If you get the opposing signal, you might as well exit anyway, depending on what time frame you're trading too. So, but yeah, here's an example where it's like it's going up, break, up, break. So if you got in, let's say you got in here on the break, and just pretend that this wick is not higher than this one. But let's say if we entered here, stop is down here, we took target here, and now we're letting the runner get out based on the break down here, and your runner would exit there. Really a great way to trade with it, I think. Yeah. Good stuff. Cool. So we're good there. So we've covered stops. Targets, you've got risk reward, you've got ticks, and you've got ATR. Risk reward means if your stop is 20, what's your reward as a multiple? So if it's 1-to-1, that's going to be 20 ticks. If it's 2-to-1, it's going to be 40 ticks. If it's 0.5, it's going to be 10 ticks, and so on. So that's risk reward. ATR is going to be, what's you can set the period for your ATR. So let's say it's an ATR 5 and your ATR 5 is 20 ticks. Then it's going to be a percent multiple of the ATR. So let's look at that. So ATR, first you need to set the period. Let's say it's set to 5. And then what's your target based on ATR? Let's say you want to trade 2 times the ATR. Okay, put it 2. And then ticks is, well, it's ticks, 40 ticks, 20 ticks, whatever you want to use. Start, stop, obviously pretty self-explanatory. The rest of this stuff is all in the brain training, which is in the members area. So what I would suggest is go through and learn the money management and the moving average filters and what all those things do and structure and momentum. And we cover all of it. We cover the brains. We cover how to use multiple positions. We cover some of the stuff there. What I do want to touch on, though, is I want to touch on the moving averages for a minute. And this is actually pretty important to cover because you can set these to be backwards. What do you mean? Okay, so let's say your normal EMAs. Let's say you like to trade with EMAs. Normally, if 9 is above the 20, that would be what kind of trade? It's a trend trade. Right? What if your 9 is not below the 20? What if the 9 is below the 20? Well, then you would normally be trading shorts if you're trading a trend. But if the 9 is below the 20 and you want to go long, that's a reversal. This algo is technically a reversal signal. Yeah, and trading times are local time on your computer, exactly. Yeah. Right now, these settings are usually set to Eastern time. So let's say your fast EMA here is below the slow, which it is, and you want to take long positions. How do you do that? Well, what you can do is you can tell the algo, my period 1 is 20, my period 2 is 9, versus normally you would do 9 and 20, right? That's how you'd normally set it. You can sort of hack that to go 20 and go 9. Now what is happening is whenever the fast EMA is below the slow, it's going to look for longs instead of shorts. So if you are a reversal trader or you like to trade bounces, what you can do is you can set the moving averages flipped. You're going to flip the moving averages. Then what you're going to do is you're going to set a high number of bars. And you're probably going to want to be 5 plus. And this will now turn this into a reversal system, which is great. Cool. So just another thought, something I definitely wanted to cover on the moving average. And we can even, I don't expect anything good to come out of it, but we can even look at it. Let's look at it 5. We'll just run a quick test for a few days so we can get an example of what that looks like. I'm not going to do any invalidations. I'm not
And by the
worried.
way, you can do the same thing with momentum cross on the histos.
Yes. Yes. And
Not if we talk about momentum, but
yeah, check out the brain training and you guys will see that as well. Risk reward, let's just go 1-to-1. And 5 entry offset. Let's go 3. Market, cool. Let's go limit. We'll show you what that looks like. Entry offset 10, max 10. Cool. We'll bump this up to a 3-minute, and we're only going to run just like a week. Again, I'm not expecting performance. I'm just showing you an example. These are not optimized, obviously. Yep, this is going to be the hack. And then we're also, now here's a factor though. It will not get out of the trade. If you set it that way, it won't get out of the trade unless the EMAs flip. So just so you know, if you're trading the, exit on opposing signal kind of thing, it's not going to engage in that case. So wouldn't really work for the reversal type setup. Okay. Good, good, good. Stops. Where are we at? There it is. I hit it. Minimum allowable 20. Yes, that's fine. Percent look back. Great. We're going to go 50 bars back, max 6. Let her rip. Great. So now we can see a couple things. The limit order got placed here. Here was the break, I suppose, was here. Okay. We got it on this candle. So it put a limit order in right here. And it's showing you where it's putting the limit order with that tiny little hash that you can't see on my screen right now. So let me zoom in. There we go. Now I can see it, maybe. So the limit order is right here. It didn't trigger the limit order. It went 10 ticks this way. It canceled the trade. Okay. Here's another example. The short was triggered here. The limit is right here. And it did not trigger. It went 10 ticks this way and then went up. So it canceled the trade. Then we had this one. And then the break was here on this candle, put in the limit order, it got in. Unfortunately, this one got stopped out. Okay, but that's just an example of what it looks like. Now you can also see that the 9 and the 20 got flipped. So we are actually trading shorts, even though our EMAs are up. So that is the reversal method. Let's go back further and look at more. Yellow indicates that the order got canceled. That's exactly right. Yep. Thank you. Here's a prime example. So there's our break. Limit order there. Got the entry there. Stop went a bit higher, actually. We could probably tighten those up quite a bit, actually.
Hey, one thing to mention is that with limit orders, you see a setting there saying max pending order bars. Well, that's how many bars you want to keep that order open after the signal bar before you cancel it. So if you want to give it a couple of 2-3 bars to get filled, then maybe you'll see less of those yellow stripes.
Yeah, that's good.
But that's what that setting does, is it gives you extra bars to get filled.
Yeah, I didn't even catch that on the testing, so thanks. Yeah, because this is only doing 1 bar, which this one would have went anyway. Neither would this one. So it's just different settings, different things that you can do. You guys know your markets, you know what you're looking for. The algo will do what you tell it to do. So it looks like there's just not a lot of trades with this because we got a little bit too aggressive with filtering.
Well, limit orders
This one
really
broke
reduces
back.
limit orders really reduces the number of trades you get filled on. And maybe it's probably the other settings too, with the number of bars and the fact that you have the moving averages flipped. You know, that's probably why you're just not getting very many trades.
Yep. Let's do this one. Let's run it this way and see what we get. Look at a different example here. So this now is market orders based on the EMAs being flipped. So you can see now we're getting all the trades and stops and targets. And you can, whenever you're optimizing, you always want to start with just look at the chart. What is the chart telling you? Put in some numbers that you think are going to be solid, and then look at the charts. Are the stops too loose, too tight? Are the targets too loose or too tight? Is your entry timing correct? Are you getting in too early or too late? These are the things you're looking at when you go to the chart. And you want to just go in and look at, are you getting too few trades, too many trades, so on and so on, right? Let's go to a 5-minute and look at what that looks like. Yep. Same trade locations here, but we got a nice one here. So different things that you can do. As for optimizing, we'll run a quick optimization just to see. We'll actually keep it parked here and we'll just optimize this one. The first thing you want to do when you're starting an optimization is you want to save the template, RTY opt. We'll just save it as RTY optimization. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is go to optimization. But you notice all the numbers change. So what I got to do here, it's a ninja thing. I can't help you there. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. Pull up the templates, and then you can go into optimization. So minimum consecutive bars. We're going to go 3 to 8. And you're going to go by ones. And we'll talk about what that means in a minute. Entry offset, 2 ticks to 5. We're going to do that by ones. And I'm not going to test anything else. I do want to test this and this. And let's go look at the time, see if I still have it. I want to look at time of day. Net based on the entry. Yeah, so it's kind of all over the map, which is fine. And yeah, so let's go ahead and optimize this first. Now, this is only 1 week, so we're not going to get like, I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, so we're just going to do 1 week. All right, so, and I'm going to set it to max net profit, and then I'm going to run it, and it's going to give us 10 different results that we're going to keep, but it's running 24 back tests for us right now based on our settings that we put in. Okay, here we go. So it's going to give us total net. We can, do it that way. So profit factor was also the highest on this one. Max drawdown was 660 versus 3,000 in total profit. So pretty solid. And then it's going to show us what the numbers were. So 4 was better. So we can go to 4. And then entry offset 4 was the best. So we'll go with 4 right there. And now we're going to set the stop loss. So we're going to go to the stop. I like to do these in baskets. I do the entry parameters first, then I do stops and targets. But ultimately, you want to kind of look at the stops and targets before you get to this point, honestly. And then we optimize for filters. Okay, so we're going to do it in this order. So stop loss range, I want to be at least 20% to 50%. Right now, if I run 20 to 50 by ones, then it's going to give me like 31 iterations, and that's going to be too many. So what I can do here is I can bring this down to 5, and now it's going to have not nearly as many tests that it needs to run. Bars back, let's go anywhere from, let's go 4 to 8, and I'm going to keep it by ones. And then risk reward, I'm going to keep as 1 for now. I'm just going to run it this way, and then we'll go back and look at targets next. So now this is doing 70 iterations, kind of a lot, right? It's a good number of tests it's running. Now, at any point in time, you can also go back and look at your time of day and figure out which times are working for you and which aren't, and so on, which we'll do after this test. Okay, there we go. So we bumped the profit a little bit and fewer trades. We're getting filtered out a little bit. Bars back was 7 was the best. Let's see what, if you hover, it'll show you what your other settings are. There's 6, there's 5, there's 4. So I'm going to keep this set to 6. I don't want to filter out too many trades, although the number of trades is the same. It's only a $15 difference. So I'm just going to keep it where we had it, which was 6. Okay. All right. So this came back stop loss. It liked the tighter actually. So let's go look at the others too. So we have 20, 20, 30, 30, 20, 20. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to bring it down. I'll go 15 to 30 and see what that comes back at. And then I'm also going to go to profit target. Well, actually, let's do that next. We'll just do these few and then we'll go to the target next. About the same. So no change there. 20 is still the number, so we'll stick with 20. Can once you kind of have a range, 20 to 30, you can test it by ones if you want to go back and get that defined. I don't really find that, when you start tweaking every little thing, a lot of this stuff becomes irrelevant. And we can see here, if we look at the time of day, are we going to skip this entire time to get to 230 to make $800 on two trades? No, we're just going to cut it off at 11:30. So we have our answer on time. Let's switch that up, 11:30. And when you're optimizing, you do have to change your min and your max to be the same if you want to sort of lock it into place. Now let's look at profit target. We're going to go from 0.5 to 2. And I'm going to go by 0.5. I'm just going to get a feel for what those numbers are based on risk reward. Let's run it that way. Now, this whole time I've been optimizing with the moving average filter on because I want to optimize for reversals. Okay. So now we have 12 trades. Again, this is only 1 week sample. I'm just doing this so it's quick. We have a 1 week sample. We've got 5,200 with a max drawdown 469. So not bad. All right, now let's take a look. Really for the moving average filter, because we have it flipped, the other filters are not going to be a factor for us because we don't want to trade with structure and then reversing on the moving average. Like that would be weird. So let's turn off the moving average requirement. And let's see what those numbers look like. I do want to, okay, so 1.5 was the best. And then we have, what was the next one? That's 1.5. There's our 1-to-1. And then, where'd it go? And then 1-to-1. So 1.5. So we can even filter this some more. Let's go 1 to 1.5, and we'll go by 0.1. Just to see if there's anything that jumps out that's that much better. And then we can run the movers off. Okay, and let me go back to summary because it's easier to see all the numbers. Yeah, so good profit, max drawdown, good profit there. Let's see. 1.4, 1.4, 1.1, 1.3, and then 1.5. So I think leaving it at 1.5 seems to make sense. So we'll just go ahead and lock that one in now too. Okay, so let's recap what we've done so far. So we've optimized for, that's why I kept doing that. Minimum consecutive bars was 4. Entry offset was 4. So those are locked into place now. We know that those are the best with this setting. Now that I've got these set up, I do want to run the moving average true and false and just see what comes back better profit-wise. There we go. True and false. Let's run it. Yeah. So having it, let's go back. Yeah. So true was definitely better, and it makes sense because we've been optimizing it that way. So that's it. At this point, the settings are good. There's no need to go in and change anything else here. Now, again, this is only for 1 week. So this is just to give you a demonstration on how to do it. Yeah, we can go back and look and see. Let's save it first, though. So now we've got our settings. We're going to go ahead and save it. And we'll just call it that again anyway. And now we can go to backtest. And all of our numbers carried over. Gene. I'm glad you got situated there. That's good. Hey, you don't know until you know, right? So there you go. All right, so now I'm going to save it one more time so it actually saves as a backtest and not an optimization. Again, it's Ninja, it is what it is. Let's go back to April 1st. And is it good for the other weeks? I have no idea. Again, this is only for 1 week optimization. Wouldn't expect it to be great, but lo and behold, looks good. So let's go to analysis. What are we looking at? And actually, it's only good in the after the open when we get more sample in there. Let's go to daily cumulative. So yeah, started out and then naturally went up. And this is, obviously makes sense because we were optimizing for that 1 week from the 15th through the 22nd. So clearly it makes sense, right? So that's a great question and one that is it's a hard one to answer. So here's my take on optimization. If I were trading algos regularly and multiple algos and that sort of thing, I would look at your first optimization. So here's some good benchmarks for you. Your first optimization, you want to start with 100 trades. So if you're on a 1 minute, odds are you're going to get to 100 trades in probably about a month's worth of data. Versus a 3 minute, you might get 100 trades in 3 months. Versus a 5 minute, you might not get 100 trades unless you run 6 months, right? So that's your starting point. Once you have 100 trades, you then optimize and filter down and filter down. Now, if you're left with 30 to 50 trades, that's okay because you're filtering according to what is working for your market. But once you've done that, it really comes down to, I would look to optimize as needed, but the expectation should be about every 20 to 25 trades, maybe. Again, that's just kind of a thought on, what you could expect. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. And obviously you're going to, optimize based on what's, what you're seeing and so on. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question. It really just depends on the number of trades is going to be based on how often you need to do that. So. Sorry, guys, I had someone at my door. So cool. So yeah, so that's kind of an idea on optimization. Yeah, and when and how. Obviously, if you're using like a volume chart, shorter time frame stuff, you need to optimize a little more regularly. I think here's my take on it. Algos are a long game. To me, they are anyway. Algos are a long game. What do I mean by that? It means that if you're trading discretionally, you might look at it from if I take 3 losing days in a row, then it's time to like take a break, take a look back, figure out, am I doing something wrong? Do I need to go in and fix something? Like if you're, going sideways for a month, let's say, clearly you're going back and reevaluating what you're doing. With an algo, you're not really looking at it day to day. You're looking at like, you might go week to week. So if you have 2 losing weeks, that's a good time that you know you need to optimize. Do you want to take 2 losing weeks? Maybe not. Maybe you're more of an active trader and that's not going to fly. But algos are a long game. They're not designed to be winning week, winning week, winning week. That's just not realistic. You're just not going to see it. You might for a period of time, but eventually you're going to get some losers in there. You're going to have to go back and optimize. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The templates will help in the long run for sure, because they give you a starting point, what to expect and what works for the markets and what doesn't. So, but the thing about algos, there's no one size fits all. It's not like a black box where you just plug and play and you trade it that way for the rest of your life. It's really up to you what you want to do with it. We give you some initial templates to start with to kind of get you on the right foot, and then it's up to you what you decide to do. So yeah, we program the tool because the tool works, and there you go. You guys want, I'm gonna add something here. I want to add one thing. I did this in the last AMA, I believe, as well, but I'm going to bring up a chart and I want to show you something here. So bear with me while I do that, and we're going to look at something. Now, again, this is just an additional example of what you can do with the algo. It's not designed to tell you you have to do it this way. Well, you know, Jim said it only works this way. No, don't get me wrong. I'm giving you ideas. You do what you want. Okay, fair enough. Let's see. Then should NeuroStreet update templates? No, we should not. Because again, we can't tell you what to trade. And it's not a black box. So we're not going to do that to you. It's up to you what you want to do with it. We'll give you the initial templates. The rest of it is up to you. Okay. It's not on us to do all that. Let's see. Cool. Let me go to strategies. Let's add it in here. I'm on my other screen, so bear with me while I do this. Springboard. Cool. And let's go minimum consecutive 2, entry offset. Let's go 3. I don't know. Quantity, yes. Back test, fine. Minimum allowable 10. Stop loss offset 25. You'll see what I'm getting at here in a minute. Cool deal. Okay. Pulling it up. I'm going to pull it up on a chart and show you some things. Okay. Here we go. All right. So this algo took the trade long here. But I want to show you something right here. So this line is VWAP. Many traders trade with it. Many traders are familiar with it. Pivot, equal high, lower high, break. There's the trade. So this is a 5-minute candle. This is crude. You can trade it on anything, but this is crude. And there's the trade coming out of VWAP. Let's go back a little more. It's only set from 9 to noon. This one was looking to get short here, but notice how that one didn't work. However, if you had traded here, pivot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, break, winning trade. Interesting, huh? Let's go a little further up. Okay, we went long here. That's great, which is why we didn't get into a short. And if we had tried to trade here, we would have taken a stop out, but it's also at 1 o'clock, which is not in our time frames. Let's go a little further back. Let me add some days on here. We'll add a whole bunch. There we go. Give it a second to calculate. Here we go. End of the session, didn't get it in time there. Here again. This one stopped out, but this one worked. So the point is you can use this as a kind of semi-auto if you choose to. I'm not telling you you have to. I'm not telling you to do it that way. I'm just telling you there's another option that you can use. Do what you want. This one, did it work? No. Do they all work? Of course not. But this is also a little bit aggressive on the buffer. It's a little bit wide. Stops are a little big. Targets are a little big. You can move these in the trade too. You don't have to, once you're in the trade, you can always move them. If you decide to, if you're kind of doing this as a hybrid approach, you can certainly do that. But let's say you want to trade it out of support resistance, right? So let's go back to the beginning. You can use this as a tool to help you enter trades based on when you're coming into an area of interest. Let's say, you're looking to, here, let's use this as an example. So we've got market came down, up, down. It's kind of chopping around, comes out, breaks. So we get the break here. Came out, down. Now we're looking for shorts. So we tell the algo when we get back up into this area, again, area doesn't have to be defined, but just a blanket area. We know that this caused a downtrend. We probably want to trade shorts out of there. Then you tell the algo, okay, once we get up here, engage. Nailed it. You can use it as an entry tool for kind of semi-auto if you choose. You don't have to. I'm just giving you additional ideas here. So there's a lot you can do with this algo. I really like this one a lot. And I feel like there's a ton of potential with this one. I feel like there's a lot you can do with it. So sky's the limit. You guys make it what you want it to be. And yeah. Yeah, the templates are in the members area part. They're all in the members area. Just grab them.
Actually, just to clarify, the templates from yesterday are not there yet. So I think what we'll do is we'll post them in Discord and then follow up with Ben to have them post them on the members area as well.
We'll get them posted in the members area, guys. Let's just say by Friday, we'll get them in there because you guys are going to want to be able to get in there and get them. So not everybody wants to go into Discord, and that's fine. So good stuff. Cool. What questions do you guys have? Anything that I can answer for you? Anything? Nothing? Good to go? Cool. Cool. All right. Well, we're good on my end. I think we covered everything that we needed to. Medium, low, high frequency. It's just number of trades. Different, more aggressive templates as far as like getting into more trades. Probably smaller time frames. Obviously, is going to get you into more trades. And then, as far as like the less frequency is going to be probably tighter time frames, and then bigger charts, and then more filters. So. Walk forward, pros, cons. Here's my thoughts on it. Just trade it live. Just run it live. I've never been big on the simulations and that. It really just comes down to what is the market going to do tomorrow, and just take notes when you're trading this system. Take notes and really, make note of what's working and what isn't, so you can go back and look at those and see if you need to optimize accordingly. So. Yeah, just kind of visualize it. Do it on sim, trade it live in sim first and see what it goes. See what happens. So
I'd like to mention something briefly about the way we name these templates. So what you have to understand is that what we're doing is we're putting together example templates that we can provide to give you an idea of what kind of settings you can use. Obviously, you have to choose your own settings, but these are templates that are there to help you get an idea of what you might be doing. It's just to get you started. But when we create these templates, we're dealing with a lot of different templates. And sometimes to find the best ones, we have several different versions for a particular instrument. And so, it helps to name the template, to put the details in the template name to help us identify which one it was, so we
Hmm.
keep track of them. So sometimes when you see high frequency, medium frequency, it doesn't necessarily mean that much, but what it's doing is it's contrasting. Like, let's say we have 3 different ES templates, and one of them had more trades than the other two, so we would just call that high frequency. Doesn't necessarily mean that much, but it just helps us keep track of which template is which. So I don't know if that helps, but I wouldn't read too much into the name. But what you do want to pay attention to in the names of the templates that we provide are the things that help you know how to set, for instance, the look back on the historical time period or the hours that it's trading, that we put that in the name to help us keep track of which template is which. So I hope that clarifies it. I wouldn't read too much into it, but that's how we do it.
Cool. Good stuff. Sweet. Cool. I think we got what we need. Yeah, that's a good. I blame Jeff on the font, his workspace. So, but yeah, we can certainly try to remember to make the font bigger because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
it's probably hard to see.
Make the suggestion earlier in the session so we can do that for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry
Yeah,
about
no worries.
that.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, have a fantastic rest of the day. Good luck trading with the system. Let us know how it goes. If you need any help, we're here. And I know you guys are going to do some really great things with this. So cool. Knock them dead. We'll catch you next time. Until then, take care. Trade
See y'all
well.
later.
Cheers.